All right, so who wants to know about some business funding? Raise your hand, make some noise. Who wants some business funding? So, I need y'all to get really, really loud, right? We got a hometown hero that's about to come up to the stage. It's Chicago's very own, the neighborhood from Chatham, to be exact. Y'all know about Chatham? Make some noise, make some noise. When it comes to financial literacy, when it comes to business funding, when it comes to really giving you the blueprint to get the funding, y'all want to make sure y'all take, who's got their notes? Who's been taking notes? Put your notebooks up in the air. Who's taking notes? Okay, we got some millionaires that are walking out the building today. So I need y'all to be super, super loud. I'm going to bring the one, the only, Chicago's very own, George Geo McCoy to the stage. Let's go.
Chicago! Hey, I need y'all to turn up a little bit more. DJ, I need you to run that song back. I need y'all to stand up on y'all feet. We gotta turn up the energy. We about to make them hear us on the first floor. We about to make them hear us on the third floor. Let's go! Hey, hey, hey. All right, let's get it, let's get it. All right, man, I'm so excited. You guys are all looking beautiful today. Give a round of applause for yourselves. Man, and I definitely want to give it back to Stephanie. You're doing an amazing job. We're so grateful to have you as a host. Y'all, please give her a round of applause. And before I go any further, I got to give a shout out to my brother, Mr. Torian Wood, for making this possible. Giving me that phone call and saying, George, I need you to be a part of this. I appreciate you. You're my brother for life. You already know. All right. And how can I forget? Could y'all please give a major round of applause to my free score now? Without them, we would have probably been at the Hilton or something, but we at the London House. All right, let's get it, let's go. All right, so I am George McCoy. I am from this city, Chicago, Chatham to be exact. And yeah, we got a lot of value. I don't have all day to be up here, but I got a good amount of time to be able to give y'all the game that y'all need to take y'all business and y'all funding to the next level. So if you're ready to get some funding, if you're ready to get your credit in order, if you're ready to go to the next level, I want you to say, when I say give yourself more, you say credit. Give yourself more. Credit. Give yourself more. Credit. All right, cool. Let's turn up. All right, so I got a cool little presentation myself, all right, where I'm going to go ahead and be able to give you guys some value, give you ladies some value, and let's go ahead and get right into it. So, all right, the slideshow is a little crazy right now. I don't know, that's not what I sent right there, but we're going to make it work. So real quick, I know Whit went over some of the credit details that you got to have in order, but for those who don't know, your credit profile has to be on point if you're talking about being able to get access to funding, all right? And the platform, My Free Score Now, helps us be able to not only identify the negative aspects of our report, but they also help us identify the positive aspects that help us realize where we're strong at and what's helping us being able to impress the lenders, impress the underwriters, and impress the banks and financial institutions. So at the top it says that your credit profile has to have 100% payment history. What percent? 100%. What percent? 100%. All right, I heard somebody say 100. Yeah, 100, that works too, all right? So 100% payment history. This means we can't have no late payments on open accounts, but we also can't have no late payments on closed accounts. That make sense? So just because it's closed and just because you eventually paid it off and it closed in good standing, it still cannot show a late payment. If it does, we have to attack it and get that removed, all right? Now, credit utilization, this only refers to your credit cards. All right, auto loans, mortgage loans, student loans, personal loans don't have anything to do with credit utilization. It's just your credit cards, all right? And we want to keep the credit card utilization low as possible. If you keep it below 30%, we consider that good credit. But if you really want to get that next level funding, those higher limits, you want to keep your credit utilization 10% or lower. And if you keep it at 1%, I used to tell people pay it off all the way, but if you keep it at 1%, that means that the credit card company makes a little bit of interest off of you. When they make a little bit of interest off of you, they become a little interested in you, and this helps them be able to naturally give you a higher credit limit increase. All right, so keeping it low, but keeping it at that 1% is the sweet spot. Derogatory marks. Of course, we can't have no collections, no charge-offs, no repos, no evictions. All right, no bankruptcies, foreclosures, no child support. All right, none of that negative stuff. We can't have none of that on the credit report. And if we do have that, we use platforms like My Free Score Now to be able to identify and see which exact credit bureau that is reporting on, and then we want to go ahead and attack it. Now, credit age. A lot of people sleep on credit age, and this is a huge part with helping you actually get approved for funding. The banks, when they look at your credit profile, they want to see if you are somebody who's actually credible. That's where the word credit comes from. It comes from the word credibility. So the longer you've had your accounts open plays a huge part in this. Okay, they don't want to see that you just start building your credit and all of your accounts are 6 months or less. You got to have some on there that got a little bit of age. All right, so if you're lacking credit age, you can do the authorized user play where you get added on somebody's credit cards and you get the piggyback off of those. And now that age shows up on your credit profile. You can go to rental accounts like rentalkarma.com, rentreporters.com, and add age to your credit profile that way. But you want to make sure that your age of your credit profile is at least 5 years or more, but 10 years is that sweet spot. All right, so rentalkarma.com, they will let you report your rent and they will show that backdated age on your credit report if you've been paying rent for a while. All right, you could go to tradelinesupply.com to be able to get trade lines added to your credit profile. These will actually help you beef up your credit report and make it look like you've been building your credit longer than what you may have actually been building it for. All right, that makes sense? Yes. Are y'all with me? Yes. All right, cool. All right, so look, total number of accounts, that's down here, total number of accounts. That's also very important as well. It kind of piggybacks on that word credibility. It's going to be hard to show that you're credible with your credit if you only got 1 or 2 accounts on your credit profile. So if you want to be able to impress the underwriters, impress the lenders, impress these financial institutions, the more accounts that you have, the better. So if you want to have what we consider a good credit profile, we're talking about having 5 to 8 open primary accounts that's in your name on your credit report. And I ain't talking about authorized users right now. I'm talking about accounts that's in who name? Who name? Your name, all right? Now, if you want great credit, 8 to 12 accounts. All right, 8 to 12 accounts. And you want to have a good, healthy credit mix. My Free Score Now does a great job at letting you know the type of accounts that you have on your credit profile. So you want to make sure you got multiple types of accounts. This is very important when it comes to the underwriters and pressing them and being able to get access to funding. And then anything over 12 accounts, you're pretty much in that excellent range where your credit profile is strong and established. Now, hard inquiries, that's the last thing. And it's very important because those hard inquiries, they tell a story. Having too many hard inquiries on your credit profile, it kind of makes you look a little, what we say in Chicago, look a little thirsty. All right? Ladies, y'all like men who are thirsty? Y'all don't like thirsty guys? Well, guys, we don't like thirsty women either, all right? All right, but The banks, they don't want you to look thirsty. They don't want you to look desperate. They don't want you to look like you're out here shopping around trying to get a card here, a loan here, a loan. We can do that in order to get maximum funding, but we don't want our profile to make it look like we are being thirsty and we're shopping our credit around a whole lot in such a short period of time. So it's very important that we keep the number of hard inquiries low as possible until we get to the funding process. Now, once you're going through the funding process, of course, you're going to get some hard inquiries. They're going to rack up, especially if you're trying to get the maximum funding that you can get. But you got to be very strategic with the inquiries. And if you understand which banks pull from which credit bureau and which bank is going to give you a hard inquiry on which credit bureau, that's half of the battle right there. And then if you want to get even deeper with it, a little deeper, then you want to understand that there's certain tactics and techniques where you can avoid inquiry altogether and still get the approval. That makes sense? All right, y'all know about that? All right, I'm gonna got you. We're gonna get into it. Let's work. So look, my slides look totally different. All right, so I promise you, I had a really nice presentation, but we're gonna work with what we got. This is one of the first things that I do. Is it okay if I walk around a little bit? I gotta like to come down and touch the people, man. All right, so look, the first thing that I do with my funding clients, before we even get anything started, before we do any applications, I like to look at the current credit cards that's on your profile already, and I want to go for credit limit increases. All right, so whatever credit cards you already have, the banks kind of go off of something called comparable credit, where they'll look at your credit profile and they'll base what limits they're going to approve you for off of what you already have on your credit profile. So you want to try to get the limits that you currently have as high as you possibly can before we start going for new funding products. That makes sense? Now here's a little nugget that you got to understand, overstand. You want to make sure that if it's a bank that is going to give you a hard inquiry for a credit limit increase, don't do it. We don't want to use a hard inquiry for a credit limit increase on a card that we already have. That makes sense? But there's several different banks out there that will let you apply for a credit limit increase without getting a hard inquiry. Go for those, all right? If it's just a soft pull, it doesn't hurt anything, all right? We can go ahead and go for it. All right, so let's get into some business funding. Let's talk about business funding. This actually looks like the slide, all right? That one came out good. This does not look like the slide. All right, it's all good though. So these are the bells and whistles that we want to make sure we have together with our LLC. All right, it's a very simple formula. Your personal credit profile has to be on point. All right, it has to be structured properly. I kind of just went over that first. And then the second part of the formula is that your LLC has to be structured properly as well. Now, if you don't have all these bells and whistles, is it possible for you still to be able to get some approvals? Yes, you can. All right, I just helped somebody get some approvals. They had their business in there, you know, their regular address. They had their regular email. They had their regular phone number. They ain't do none of the stuff I told them to do. And they still got a couple $1,000s in funding. But are you all looking to just get a couple of $1,000s? You want the what? Y'all want the max? Y'all want the big money? Well, like Whit said, to piggyback off of her, you got to make sure that your ducks are in a row and you have the things that the banks are going to be looking for. The underwriters are going to pay attention to your business address. They're going to pay attention to your business email. All right, so you want to make sure that your business isn't in a high-risk industry. Things like gambling, dispensaries, adult entertainment, just anything that is considered high risk, you want to try to avoid it. Things that some of you all may do, like transportation, trucking, all right? They consider that a high risk industry because accidents can happen, lawsuits can happen. It's very probable in the trucking industry. So even if you have a trucking business, you may want to avoid putting that in your business name and making your business name something more generic. Or what I like to do for my truckers, I just create them a secondary LLC, underneath an industry that is very low risk and that the banks tend to favor, like consulting, and we'll go ahead and get them funding that way. All right, we want to make sure that we have a business address. It's a lot of platforms that you can go out there and go to get a business address, and I know that we want to make this as cost effective as possible, and I'll be seeing some of the credit gurus, the GOATs, or whatever you want to call them, some people who got a little bit of influence be telling people, go to ipostal.com and some of these different platforms where it's going to raise a red flag, all right? So there's a few reputable websites out there, but since I've been doing funding since 2020, I've always used one. I use regis.com, all right? They're a little bit pricier than the other ones, but they are legit. They're going to make your business look legitimate, okay? So legal entity, try to avoid being a sole proprietor, especially if you're trying to get the larger amounts of funding. You want to make sure you have your business EIN number. That's like the social security number for your business. It's actually not difficult to set up at all. You can go to your irs.gov website and set up your business EIN. Then you want to make sure you have a business email, a professional business email, like info@yourbusinessname.com, admin@yourbusinessname.com, right? And then you want to have a business website, but watch this. The domain to your business website should match the ending of your business email, all right? So if my business is Give Yourself More Credit, then my website will be giveyourselfmorecredit.com. My business name would be admin@giveyourselfmorecredit.com. That makes sense? All right. Now, business phone number, all right? You can get a business phone number less than $10 a month. Very easy to do. You want to make sure you're in a low-risk industry. You also want to make sure you have an online presence. So this is what I like to call going the extra mile. Somebody say extra mile. All right, a lot of people will stop at this part and don't do it, but this helps so much. Creating a business website, all right? There are several AI places. We got an AI queen in the building. She's going to talk about that a little bit later, but there's several places where you can build a website in literally less than a minute that looks pretty decent using AI, or you can go on certain platforms like Upwork.com, find somebody to make you a website for $100, all right? But that's going the extra mile. You also want to make some social media pages. All right, so just make an Instagram, post your logo. All right, make a Facebook, make a, LinkedIn. Get some social or some online presence there. Then you also want to post your business on 411, Google Business. You want to get it out there, okay? It's a platform that I use. I can't even think of the name of it right now. It's a platform that I use. It's going to come to me in a second where you can actually pay them a couple $100 and they'll list your business on like 70 different online platforms. So when the bankers go to look up your business is all over the net like a spider. All right, it's all over the web like a spider. So you want to make sure that your business has an online presence because that will make sure business looks very legit. And then in the banking world, they say that your business isn't even a business until you open up a business checking account. So make sure you open up at least one business checking account. And having a payment processor is cool, but it's not mandatory for funding. And then the last thing that's cut off on here is setting up what is called your Duns and Bradstreet profile. Y'all know about Duns and Bradstreet? Yes. All right, so the information that's on your Duns and Bradstreet profile, you want to double check it, triple check it, because that should match the information that you put in on these business applications. That make sense? Yes. All right, cool. So let's keep it moving. So let's talk about some business funding sauce. So there are banks out there that will give you access to high-limit business funding products, even if your business is brand new, even if your business hasn't filed taxes yet, even if your business hasn't made $1 yet, you can still be able to get access to funding. See, a lot of people, what they end up doing because they have a brand new business and they're looking to get some funding so they can use OPM instead of their own money, they'll put on the business application that their business hasn't made no money yet. And then you're wondering why you're getting a $500 credit limit, all right? So what we do, we don't want to do application fraud or nothing like that. but you can put what is called stated income or predicted income on your business applications. Okay, so what you predict your business to make for that year, you can actually put that as your annual income. Okay, and that's completely legal to do. And most of the time with certain lenders, when you do this, as long as you ain't put in, hey, my business is projected to make $2 quadrillion this year, all right? I mean, I'm all for wishful thinking and talking things into existence, but we want to be a little bit realistic, especially make sure it correlates with whatever industry that you're actually in. You want to put, what your projected income is going to be, and they're not going to ask for any proof of you making that income. So that means no proof, no documentation proof, no tax returns or bank statements or anything like that. And they typically will give you around 10 to 15% of whatever you put as your annual income. They'll usually approve you around 10 to 15% of that as your limit. Y'all knew that? So if you put $180,000, you might get like a $15,000 to $20,000 limit on your business product. All right? And then you can also do this with multiple LLCs using the same personal credit profile. Now, I personally only like one type of business funding product, and that's business credit cards with 0% interest. Does anybody know why?
Because you don't have to pay it back for 12 to 15 months, and then you got money to play with, and you got time to make some money to pay the money back.
That part. All right, go ahead. Absolutely. That's the sauce right there. See, you could keep transferring the debt. You could do what is called balance transfers, and you could move that debt. So let me rewind real quick.
If you got multiple entities, transfer debt off of one credit card
Absolutely.
to another.
Absolutely. It doesn't have to be under the same entity. So 0% interest business credit cards basically means that whatever amount that you use on that credit card, they're not going to charge you interest for a certain time period. It could be anywhere from 6 months to some banks give you up to 21 months of not having to pay interest on the debt. And typically you will only have to make sure that you pay the minimum payment, which is usually around 1% of the amount that you're using. So if you use $20,000, imagine you got $20,000 to play with, you use the entire $20,000, and then you only have to pay $200 a month for the next 12 months. All right? Now, the goal is to get the debt paid off before the end of the 0% interest period is over with. But if for whatever reason it takes you longer than 12 months to make that thing flip, all right, be able to make a return on your investment, if it takes you longer than 12 months, you could do what is called a balance transfer, and there's certain business credit cards that will allow you to do 0% interest balance transfers. So now you can move that debt from one card to another and still be at 0% interest, and they give you a little bit more time to pay back that debt. All right? Now, what we like to talk about is business credit card stacking. All right? Pardon me for the slides. I don't know how it came out like this, but I'm going to try to paint the picture as best as I can, all right? So we like to use business credit card stacking, and it's a very simple method. A lot of people make it seem like it's harder than what it is. As soon as I learned about it, it was like, okay, this makes perfect sense to me. So like I said earlier, certain banks, when you apply for something, they're going to pull one of the 3 credit bureaus. It's like 2% of banks that's going to pull all 3, all right? That's why I don't never recommend Capital One, because they're going to pull all 3. But there's a lot of banks, 98% of banks, when you apply for something, you're going to get a hard inquiry on one of the 3 credit bureaus. So when you got a list of different lenders that you want to deal with or possibly deal with, and you know which credit bureau they pull from, now you can apply with strategy, all right? Now, it goes a little bit deeper because some of these banks got certain rules that you got to know, all right? I think I got slides talking about that. But here's a few different banks that are well known that I actually like. We got a few that pull directly from Experian. We got Navy Federal, we got Chase, we got American Express. Okay, they pull directly from Experian. I really like Chase and American Express the most because they both got 2 different 0% interest business credit cards. And American Express has other business credit card products that's not 0%, but they're really good for business owners, especially if you travel or if you run meta ads like myself. Then we got banks that pull from TransUnion, all right? We got GM Marcus, we got US Bank, and we got Univest. And then, I know we ain't got Truist in Chicago and Illinois, but if you're in a state that got Truist, in Chicago, we like to say it's sweet, all right? Truist is sweet. They be giving out the bag on the same day that you go open up the account. They will give you a high limit business credit card. And if your business been open for longer than 2 years, they'll give you a line of credit too. Same day that you open up the account. See if Truist is in your state. If they are, you might want to see what they're talking about. But even not, I wasn't even going to get this deep, but we got something called foreign entity, where if you set up your business as a foreign entity, then you can be able to get funding through any bank, all right? But we'll get a little bit deeper into that later. All right, so Chase, or I say, all right? I don't know. My sis Bree, man, she's trying to sabotage me up here. All right, so look, Chase got what is called the 524 rule. Some of y'all are familiar with it. If you've opened up 5 credit cards in the last 24 months, Chase is more than likely going to deny your application. They are very sensitive. They are the biggest bank. They got the most deposits. They got the most assets. So they can afford to be very picky and bougie, all right? So you want to probably put Chase closer to the top of your funding sequence when you're applying for funding, because if you get other cards first and then go to Chase, even if you got a great credit profile, they'll probably deny you. And then we got American Express. One of the things that I do with a lot of my funding clients, American Express is kind of like a credit union almost. They're very big on relationships. They'll help you out with getting multiple funding products, and they got a play where you can actually get multiple business credit cards from them off of just one inquiry. So like how I said, how those inquiries are very important and you want to spread them out, when you get products from American Express, within a 30-day time period, you can actually apply for multiple business products every 5 days, and they'll actually approve you for multiple products all off of that one inquiry. Say that one more time. Yes, but it will be a different inquiry. So you can't do it all under that one inquiry. Now, here's, like I said, I personally like business credit cards at 0% interest, but for those who I gotta get the loan, I gotta get the cash, here's a few banks that will actually give you some business loans at some pretty decent limits without you having to show any documentation or proof of income. All right, so here's a few banks y'all might want to write down. I like Key Bank a lot. All right, Key Bank is very similar to Truist. They'll give you a business credit card, 0% interest, the day you go open up the account, all right? They're very, very generous if your personal credit profile is on point and if your LLC is structured properly, all right? Now, like I said earlier, we can actually set up what is called foreign filing, setting up a foreign entity. This will help you be able to get more funding. Does anybody in the room have a funding company or looking to start a funding company? All right, cool. So this is one of the little tricks that we like to use that I learned from my mentor. I just seen him walk in the room, that we use to be able to get more funding than what a person may be able to get in their state or their city. This is how we can basically make a business be able to do business with other financial institutions in different states. All right. And then it's a cool website called bankbranchlocator.com. Got you. Bankbranchlocator.com. This website will actually help you locate banks that's in your zip code, in your state, in your city, so you'll be able to get yourself funding and be able to help other people get access to funding as well. All right, so that's a little cheat code to be able to help you guys locate products. And what I like to do when I find somebody who lives in Wyoming, I'm like, I didn't even know people lived in Wyoming. Like, what's out there? But I'll look up banks that's out there, and then I'll just go directly to their website, and I'll look to see exactly what funding products that they have. Do they have lines of credit? Do they have business loans? Do they have 0% interest business credit cards? All right, and then I'm able to create unique funding propositions for individuals. All right, so let's talk about getting some money. So the cool part about this event is sponsored by My Free Score Now, and they help us with not only credit repair, but they got a product called the Funding Snapshot that help us be able to see if a person's credit profile is fundable and an estimate of around how much funding we should be able to get for them, all right? So if you have a credit repair business or if you're just here to get your credit together, I highly recommend you get into this industry because it's tens of millions of Americans. Not a couple 100,000, not a couple million, it's tens of millions of Americans out there who have less than perfect credit, and they're looking for somebody who's credible to help them with getting their credit together. They may not want to hear George Millionaire McCoy's voice. They might want to hear yours. All right, you might be the person that they see and relate to and want to work with. So this is an industry that you definitely want to consider getting in if you're not in it already. And then when you start with credit repair, you're able to do what we call upsell individuals to other products, other services that you could be able to provide. I gave y'all TradeLineSupply.com, where you can get authorized user trade lines. When I first started off, I was selling trade lines, kind of middlemaning off of that website and adding a couple of extra $100 on top of the price that they were charging. So that's another stream of income that you can create. And then you can also, of course, help a person set up their LLC. All right, you could charge a pretty nice little, amount for that. Being able to help a person set up their entity, helping them get the business address, helping them be able to get their EIN number, being able to help them get everything set up. And then the cash cow, what really took my business to the next level and took me from, being somebody who was driving Uber 12 hours a day trying to get my business, credit repair business off the ground, is I started a funding company and I was helping other entrepreneurs get access to capital, all right? Imagine if you just did the bare minimum of getting somebody, let's say, $30,000 in funding. Yeah, I know we want to help people get hundreds of thousands and 250,000, all that stuff, but let's just say you help somebody get $30,000 in funding. We charge anywhere from 8 to 15%. I personally charge 10%, so that's $3,000. If you help a person get $30,000 once a week, just one client a week, just one, how many clients? Just one client a week, that's $3,000 a week, that's $12,000 a month. Would anybody like to make an extra $12,000 a month? All right, so highly recommend you look into this, utilize My Free Score Now because they got the tools to help us not only be able to make a pretty great commission for credit monitoring that connects to certain softwares that help us with the credit repair process, but they also give us tools that help with scaling and launching our funding company. So that's my time. I'm George McCoy. I hope y'all enjoy the rest of the event. I'll see you all at the beaches and the banks. Let's go.